Thanks to how interactive video games can be, they have the power to make us feel so many different emotions, be that surprise, fear, joy, sadness, or even anger. And as someone who loves video games with a big story that makes you feel all of those things, I've gone through some of my most favourite games and picked out what I think are some of the best moments in them. So here are 5 great moments in video games. Telltales The Walking Dead, Lee's death. As a fan of The Walking Dead, although more specifically the comic book series, I was 100% into this game, and its quality is proven by its popularity, making Telltale a well-known developer in the gaming space. Not only was its artwork beautifully crafted to resemble the comic book style that it was canon to, but its story was superbly written from beginning to end. Amongst all the conflict you have with your own group, as well as other survivors you meet along the way, your main focus is on Clementine, as you become a sort of parental figure to her, protecting her from all manner of dangers, like zombies, psychos, and consuming human meat, as well as helping her navigate the emotional turmoils of being a growing child, trying to understand the loss of her parents while trying to survive in this new and terrifying world. The game does a fantastic job of making you fall in love with these characters, allowing you to reflect yourself onto Lee, and finding yourself constantly feeling concerned with the well-being of Clementine, checking in on her and giving her gifts. So when you reach the end of the game and Lee is bitten, the emotions and heartbreak that run through you just couldn't be higher, and you feel your heart sink. You were given the choice to ask Clementine, this young girl you've basically become a father for, to shoot you. Weighing out the options feels impossible, and if you don't, she makes the decision herself, by silently weighing up the actions you have made throughout the game. Generally speaking, the narrative of games usually have either a strong opening or a strong end, but Season 1 of Telltale's The Walking Dead manages to pull both off fantastically, and it leaves the player with so much sadness for the characters they've lost, as well as anticipation and excitement for where it could go next, and lives in my memory as one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in gaming. The Last of Us Part 1, Petting a Giraffe. In the very first video I posted on this channel, I spoke about how The Last of Us excels in its storytelling, creating a broken and desperate world with people fighting daily just to survive. The developers done a beautiful job creating an emotionally draining journey from start to finish, and in doing so, made this scene so much more beautiful. First of all, it's a giraffe. From memory, I can probably count on one hand how many times I've seen a giraffe in a video game, and you can even pet it. But going back to how it serves the rest of the game, Ellie grew up in this new world, losing her parents at a young age, witnessing death at every turn, and feeling like she can't trust anyone. It's easy to forget she's only 14. Her demeanour, her actions, her words, they're more like an adult than a child. But in this moment, you get to see that spark of wonderment and intrigue every child has with the world. A tiny glimpse of hope in this dark, new world. It's such an unexpected scene that not only brings a breath of levity to the characters, but to the player too. I remember when I first saw this scene, I was roughly 17 or 18, and as much as I appreciated it and thought it was really fun, I didn't truly feel how much this would mean to the characters. But coming back to it now that I'm a dad myself, I see it in a completely new light. Not just the scene itself, but the whole game. It's a beautiful scene in an already beautiful game. And although I think the remake of this was entirely unnecessary, it's even more beautiful there. Prey 2017, Finding Out You Are a Typhon. After an already brilliant twist opening where you realise your cozy apartment and fun helicopter ride over a city skyline was all a big lie and you're actually aboard a space station, Arcane Studios were able to pull the rug from under our feet once again. After spending 20 to 30 hours aboard the Talos 1, trying your best to save the survivors of the space station, fighting for your life against creepy crawlies, tall boys and furniture, while delving into the life and background of Morgan Yu, the end of the game reveals to you that it was once again a big ol' lie, and you are actually one of the Typhons you've been fighting throughout the whole game, and strapped to a chair with the personality of Morgan Yu implanted in you, and the whole thing was just a simulation to see if humans and Typhons were able to cohabit. Although upon reflection, there's definitely some foreshadowing about the twist, like when the scientists start getting confused with some of your actions at the beginning of the game. But without context, it's easily explained away as something else, or forgotten about as other events unfold. I was lucky enough to miss all the advertising and internet chatter about this game upon its release, as I wasn't a big fan of the original Prey or its sequel, so I got to go in completely blind, and thank God I did. Arcane are fantastic at crafting these open-ended games, with tons of choices to make, secrets to find, and ways to play, and Prey is a brilliant example of all of that. Blowing up Megaton in Fallout 3. Although the third main title in the series, this was Bethesda's first take on the Fallout franchise, which marked a few changes for the series. The 2D isometric camera was gone, now giving us a fully 3D environment for us to play around in, and combat is now done in real time instead of turn-based. On top of that, some celebrity voices were used to give the game an extra leg up, including the likes of Liam Neeson and Malcolm McDowell. But for all the sprinkles and sugar Bethesda put on the game, they didn't forget that at its core, it's a Fallout game. It's an RPG, and with that comes choices and consequences, and one of the biggest ones is the choice of blowing up Megaton. After meeting a shady-looking man in the corner of a bar, you are offered a bunch of bottle caps to rig the undetonated bomb the town is built around and meet him at Tenpenny Tower, where you can enjoy the greatest light show the Wastes have ever seen, turning Megaton into nothing but rubble. Although this isn't tied to the main story, Megaton is the first town you reach when you first leave the comfort of your vault, and although some of the locals are a bit questionable, you're generally quite welcomed, and there's plenty of items, quests and friends to make, so blowing the place up can actually feel quite heart-wrenching. What makes this moment stand out, other than what I've already mentioned, is thanks to the 3D open world, your walk from Megaton to Tenpenny Tower does feel like you've walked for miles, and when you're witnessing the explosion from across the wastes, there's this real sense of weight and responsibility for what you've just done, which is made even worse when you return after the fact and have to confront Moira, who was outside of town but still caught in the blast, forcing you to confront her now disfigured face every time you fill in a new page of your Wasteland survival guide. Metal Gear Solid Psycho Mantis fight. And here we have yet another excuse for me to bring up Kojima. This is probably going to be the most famous entry on this list. Even though the game came out like 25 years ago, it was a landmark in gaming, showing the world the type of storytelling and emotions video games are capable of, and its legacy still lives on, especially this scene. If you're unaware of this scene or the game in general, you are Solid Snake, sent on a covert mission to infiltrate a secret base known as Shadow Moses Island. Throughout the game you meet plenty of wild characters, and there's tons of standout moments to choose from, like getting Meryl's codec number from the back of the case, or taking on a tank in a real tank with nothing but hand grenades. But the cherry on top of this masterpiece of a game, for me at least, has to be the boss battle with Psycho Mantis, a member of the now rogue Foxhound unit, threatening the United States with a nuclear strike. Psycho Mantis has the power of telepathy. In the beginning of the fight, you quickly realise that he can read your mind and none of your weapons can hit him. And he's even able to read certain games on your memory card, as well as see how often you've saved, black out your screen, and make your controller vibrate. Eventually though, through either your own deductions, or most likely Campbell telling you, you find out the secret to defeating him is switching your controller from port 1 to port 2, making him unable to detect your moves. Now, it's been brought to my attention, and I feel like I should let you guys know too, that there are people alive in the world today that have never even seen a wired controller, and after doing a bit of research of my own, it's actually true. Now, with that revelation, excuse me while I go lie down for a while. And that's 5 of my most favourite gaming moments. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. It really helps me out with the algorithm gods. And why don't you let me know your favourite gaming moments down in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video.